Alrighty, welcome back. We're on air, and you're on air with Bad Chad. This video, to me, I think is going to be one of the most, well, it's the most important video that I think that we can make for people that want to build cars or build hot rods or whatever. I'm thinking that this video here will enable you to go in any junkyard and look at any rotten car and say, I can fix it, or I can make it work. You know, the 40 out there that we're playing with, it was for sale for a long time. It was a reasonable price, and I'm thinking a lot of people did not go for it is because it's overwhelming when you look inside the car and the wheel wells are rotted out and the floors, kind of poopy and that sort of stuff. But when you go into a junkyard and you look into the car and there's no floor, it's all gone. The wheel wells are shot. The body on the outside is not bad, but everything is shot on the inside. It really, I think it overwhelms a lot of people. But what I see is opportunity to fabricate a new floor for a cheap amount of money, because the car's not worth a whole bunch, but the floor all rotted out of it and the wheel well's all gone. It's not worth that much. But what I'm thinking is, when I go look at something, I know how to fix it. I've done it many a times. I know how to fix it quickly and easily to get it done. And basically I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. We did it on Jolene's race car, but what's going to go on this one here is we're going to make the floor, we're going to put the floor panels in it and everything, and then we're going to apply it to the car. And basically it's a pretty simple thing, or I think it's a simple thing. I'm going to take square stocks, some square tubing, and I'm going to make a skeleton of the frame. Basically, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it in this video. We're going to get started right at the present moment. I know I took a mark when we took the frame with the body off. I know where the body fits. And basically, when you get your car, if you have a rotten floor in it and you have the frame or you have another frame you're going to put in it, you have to be realistic now. You can't put a frame in it that's wider than the car. You have to use your brain a little bit. The frame has to fit underneath the car to make this work. But it's a pretty simple thing. Is a skeleton of the floor and then an inside panel. And I'm going to do that right at the present moment. Some of this stuff, the square stock, I haven't got anything right here to bend it with. I got Elvis's in the way to run in far as the hoist to bend it. So I'm just going to stick my square tubing underneath my straight axle here and pry on it and bend it and make it fit the best I can. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. So I got some square stock here, some 3/4 inch. And basically what I want to do with this 3/4 inch is I want to make I want to mimic this outside rail is where I want to mimic it. This outside rail first, and it's got this shape to it, and it's got this shape to it. So we're going to bend a piece of square stock, that shape. Basically what I'm going to do first is just going to get a little bit of bend on it. That's how easy. Bend something. See how I bent that. And we'll cut the shape out of the square stock. That we think is going to work. Basically, I'm going there. I'm going to take it down here a little bit. I'm going to go right about here somewhere. I'm thinking that shape there is getting close. I'm going to bend that end a little bit. I'm going to cut this off. So basically, I just put a little bend in it to get it going where I want it to go. And we'll go from there. Get my grinder set up, my glasses on. Yeah, I just bent that on the ground. You get a nice gradual bend when you bang it on the floor. You can see that. You get a nice gradual bend. But what the problem sometimes is that you don't get the ends bent exactly the way you want to. You get it's bent in the center, but you don't get the ends. And the ends are, have to play with a little bit. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm just going to do a rail here. I'm going to cut it off right there. No measuring tape, just go for it. Got my knee pads on. I really enjoy these knee pads. They're a good knee pad. And the reason being is because they stay up. They seem to anyways. They have been. So I know where my I'm going to cut 2 of these actually. I should have seen if I get 2 of them. Hope I can get 2 of them. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I almost cut that right in the center. Wow. I'm going to make these exactly the same. I'm going to bend this one first. I just bent it, get the length the same, that's all. Never thought of it, but I got it the same. Crawling around on my knees. The reason I do that sometimes because it won't fall. What I'm working on won't fall off the bench. And I can do it a little bit faster. Just want to make them both the same, that's all. Just going to have to get after it here a little bit to get this skeleton made. I want to do it within the time that we generally do things. Now I'm going to bend that a little bit more. I might as well put these on just to bang my ears around, hadn't I? Baby.
Yeah.
Getting close. A little bend at the end there. Ah! I knew that. Thought I was going to use that, but the car's going to roll on me. There we go. Right there will work. Now we got to go the other way. We got to go in this way. Now we got to get going the other way. That's sometimes the hardest thing to do is get it going the other way. And it will straighten back out on you. It will. We're getting her though, right? A little more in the center here, in the end. Use whatever you have. That's what I do. Seems to work out all right. A little bit more. A little bit more. Now, as I'm doing this, you can complicate it. Not to say complicated. You can take and bend like your cross members. A cross member usually goes a 1/2 inch and then down, over 2 inch and then up and then over. Then you spot weld it to the floor. You can do that. But this is, to me, this is so much quicker. You're sitting on the chassis and the square tubing and the metal. It's not going anywheres. But you can make all them cross members, bend them up in there, cut them, make them for the cross tier, spot weld your floor to it. Yes, you most certainly can do that. But I just find the square tubing so much faster, so much quicker, easier, like, you know, that's what I find. Let's keep rocking and rolling here. A little bend right here, get a little further down. And that's why I use it, because it's quicker, faster. And basically, I guess that explains it. I can complicate it and make all that stuff in the brake if I want to, but not going to. Why bother? Just want a little more bend that way. That way I got this going fine. More bend this way. Alrighty. We can bend that a little bit. So that's fine. Just going to bend that in just a little bit, just to get a little. Kind of bend it up, it did. There's my line. No, I want to bend it down. Bend it down. Yeah. Too much now. Chetty? That's cool. Alrighty. I'm going to need 2 of those. These things are hard in the ears. I can hear everything scraping on my shirt. Yeah. It's like a stethoscope or whatever you call that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some vice grips, C-clamps, that sort of stuff. I'm going to put some pressure on this one. And basically, this is what I'm going to do. This is what has to be done. On this outside rail, I want this outside rail to fit the chassis. And what has to happen is it has to be outside of the frame rail, just a little tiny bit. Because what has to happen, this is the inside sill. This is my, I don't know what you call that, my outside sill, I guess. My outside sill brace, because my inside sill, as I have it on there, I'm going to weld a piece of metal that comes down here on this side, so this skeleton fits this frame. So there's going to be a piece of metal welded all the way along this that's going to go on the outside. So we'll just keep going along here. We'll get some metal bent up and then we'll explain it as we go. We want the metal on the outside. Got to have it on the outside. Got to have enough so I can get some metal on the outside. Fits good. Fits really good, surprisingly quickly. Surprising how quick that went, eh? Way too big. Just on the outside a little bit. Doesn't want to stay there. On the outside. I thought about even tack welding it down, and I might, just so it stays in place until we're finished. Just one on the outside of the chassis a little bit. All on the outside. Okie dokie, let's do another piece for the other side. And we got this piece right here. Bum, 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 bum. Jesus, you already got a bend in it and everything. I actually got the center of it welded up. I just capped it with a piece of metal, traced it, and welded on either side. There was a piece on there, held it up. I just capped it like that. I capped the back. That's what I was doing first thing this morning to get that done. Now we need to make another piece like that. And we got the line to go by on both on the same side. Now, we're bent this way because I banged it on the floor. We need to bend her a little bit more. Actually, just bend the end there, I see. That's a good way to check, see if the tie rod ends are good. Right? If they don't pry it, they must be good. A little more. Alrighty, I'm saying we got that looking pretty good there. Now we got to get this shape going. Jolene's tripping over some stuff. I laid some pieces. I buy these at Speedway. They're just little brackets and stuff. We use them for gussets on Jolene's Bugatti. They're an eighth at least, and I use them for certain things. I got some tabs here that I'm going to use to hold this down. Alrighty. Now, it's going in here. Going to bend her up so we get the up sweep. Checking the tie rod ends. Ooh, wow. I was going to say you're bad, Chad, but that's kind of, I don't know what to say. Not bad. Good job, eh? Up here a little bit further. Bend it up there. Nice. I'm going to apply that on, put that in place. Some more of these clamps, some vice grips. I must thank anybody that sees their tools being used, their knee pads, some DeWalt cutting discs. Got to thank you. The reason being is because I use them full time. Got same up the line on that side, outside just a little bit. Yesterday, the body, I know, like, you know, everybody was watching. It looked like the front, well, it looked like the car could have been pushed back to get the fenders to fit better. But what the problem was, it was hitting on the side of the frame. I couldn't get it back any further. That was the issue. And that's the one I'm fighting full time. I'm wondering if that's going to even stay on there. Yep, it's on the outside. We just want it on the outside. It's all we want. Just kind of get them in the same place, same vicinity would be nice. And the reason being, why not? Having a hard time with those because it's not going in, you know what I'm trying to say? It's having a hard time clamping. Stay. Actually, these might be the better ones. I generally like the ones with the, yeah, these might be the better ones this time. Better things for different applications, I guess. And we'll grab them other ones without the swivel head. The swivel head does not allow me to go in on the frame on the bottom. And we get all kinds here. See what happens? Probably could have bent that one before I put it on there, but I'm going to pry it down with the C-clamps. All right. Didn't want to stay, and it doesn't have to, because I'm going to get the different ones and put on it. Just put them on again, that's all. Them ones fell off on that side, I see. Now I'm wanting I wonder if the little ones will work better. See what happens. They might even work better because they're smaller. Got to be on the outside of the chassis, remember? And the reason being is I got to have that inside sill on the outside of the frame. Damn it. It's staying where it needs to be anyways, but I just want it in there. Okay. Okay, that one fell off on that side. It's okay. Okay, put this one on. I could tack it down with the welder to make it stay in place, and I might in the end. I might just tack it all down, make sure it stays. Just take a few tacks and cut it off after. Alrighty. Anyways, I'm just going to leave that for a second. I'm not going to bother with it. I've got the two outside square tubing on top of the chassis. You're not shoving that square tubing down past that chassis because 3/4 of it, or not 3/4 of it, probably 90% of it is on the chassis. It's not going anywhere. We've got it where we started with our line. We can weld a tab on it to bolt it down, or to cut the end of it off, tab it. Probably could do that. Also, I'm just thinking for a second, I can weld tabs on it to bolt it down to the chassis, or I can run my square stock going across and go down through my square tubing and bolt it to the chassis. Let's just go from here for a second. Alrighty. So basically when I say make a skeleton, I'm basically going to make the exact same shape of the chassis itself and mimic everything. So what I'm seeing here is I got this piece here going. If I follow this piece, I'm not going to get in the way of my pedals, because obviously my pedals were taking off and this is not infecting anything. So if I stay on top of that, it's not going to hurt anything. If I veer off and go in here or go over here, then I'm asking for probably an issue, because I don't know what's going on. But I know if I'm going there, there's nothing going to hit there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up a little piece of square stock or square tubing and go across, and then we can run that line there and do that one. When we stay on top of this, we know that we're not going to interfere with anything, because it doesn't interfere with anything now. Motor, transmission's coming in through here. Do not know if it's going to fit exactly through here or not yet, but I can cut that out after we have the floor made. So you basically make the whole floor and then cut out after. So I want to take and cut. Got some square tubing over here. Excuse me, sweetheart. Jolene looks amazing this morning, as always. Jolene was fighting mice this morning. I noticed some of the square stock has got a really square look to it, and some of the other stuff has got a rounded edge to it. Does not matter, not to me anyways. I'm going to cut that off. Get a marker. Just going to run this over here. I'm going to run across there and go over there. I'm going to use that. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do it. How do I want to do that? Da, 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 da. Just wondering how I want to do it. I could have 45 that and did a little nicer job on that, but I haven't got that 45 there. So what I'll do is I'll cut this one. I'm going to end up putting a piece of metal going down this face, because it's the inside sill. So when I put the face on, I'll cover the square stock that's cut off, like the end like that. I'll cover that and bring it down. So I'll go this way, this one, and then what I'll do on this side is I will make a cut like that, so I can run it there and I can fill that in and go that way, if you know what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm going to cut two of them at the same time, because I need two. Should have cut the other end first. Now I got to hold this little tiny piece of metal and try to cut it. Should have cut the angle first. I say it's okay, just as long as you pick up on it for the next one. So I'll use a square end there, and then I'll take this angle from this one. as long as you pick up on it from your mistake. That was a mistake. Simple mistake, but it was a mistake. So what I'm thinking is this little video here will let you not be afraid of any junk car in a junkyard that's got no floor. It should cure you. Should cure you. What I'm going to do is turn the welder on. Just tacking it for now. Just tacking it. And everything I do, I'll just look at the other side and try to mimic it. So I'm missing that hole by just a little tiny bit, so I'm going to turn this one and try to miss that hole by a little tiny bit. If you make that you understand that. So each side looks basically the same. See, I'm missing that hole just by a little bit. So I'm going to come over here and miss this one by a little bit. Right? That's how we do things. That's how I like to do things. One, you can move it. Two, it's there. Just going to shut that off. That's still held in place. That's still held in place. We still got the outside. I'm just trying to feel this outside rail, see if it's on the outside of the chassis or not. Outsides, 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 outside. Close. Damn close. Just going to let it off. Just let it off. See if I can let it out just a hair more. That's all I want to do. Actually, I'm thinking I'm out far enough. Won't tell me. Well, sort of. You can see I'm out just a little tiny bit. I could come out a little bit further. Just a little bit further. Not much, but a little. There we go. Feeling better about that. Just a little bit further. Right? Then your metal lay on there. It gives us a little bit more room. It's going to be a tight fit. Yes, it is, but that's what you want. You want your car to stay on your frame. And plus, the car that we're doing out there is tight. Alrighty. Want me to move that little thing for you, sweetheart?
It's okay.
Alrighty, we got that on the outside of that. That on the outside of that. Bum, 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 bum. We'll make those in a second. I wonder if I can get a piece go across there. Okay. I think I want to tie it together. What I'm going to do is instead of it running away, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a couple cross members in it so it don't run away on us. And what I mean by run away is like take off, like the vice grips come off and fall off. If I ran one across here and put it over there, that means that would stay, we're at the right width. Basically, you can build it any way you want to. Just thinking out loud. Don't want it to take off, that's all. Yeah, just carry on. Carry on. So, nothing's going to get affected if I stay in here on this. Like, if you know what I'm trying to tell you, nothing is going to get affected because it's a skeleton of the chassis. The chassis is made this way. Why can't I make my floor this way? Well, you can, is what I'm telling you. I'm going to cut this piece I'm going to cut this piece. Do not know if this is wide enough here yet or not. Do not know. It's opened up there now. We have that cap on there. I'm thinking that it should be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it to the outside of that. Run it to the outside of that, get my marker. Sorry, Mr. Here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut 2 at a time and go for it. There's one. Get another piece of square stock. Got a little length over here. I'm going to use the smaller lengths up first. Smaller lengths or not. I want 2 the same length in the same angle. We'll cut this angle. Put these on for a second because I can. Jimbo sent us some pictures of his Oldsmobile last night. He got some white walls on her and some, I don't know, rims or hubcaps. Man, he got her looking good. He's going to want to put her on the road. I know he is. Looking good. Not worried about that in there at all. Not worried about that at all. It's going to sit on the chassis down here. It's going to sit on the chassis back there. It's sitting on the chassis back there. Not worried about it whatsoever. I could bend it a little bit if I wanted to. Not going to worry about it. And the reason being is I got this little brace right here. If I start bending it, it's not going to fit down tight anyways. So I'm going to leave it. Got to see where it is down here first before I tack it. One, you can move it. 2, it's there. Still on the outside, everything's on the outside, everything's running good. Just checking her over, nothing's moving. That's good. I'm going to run this on the outside of that. I can run that one there. Cut 2 of these. quite the same. And the angles, to me, do not have to be perfect, because if they're not perfect and there's a gap, you know what it means? Penetration. That you're going to get it welded up good. So I never stress about how this comes together. Like, if there's a gap in there, I don't stress about that. That's for penetration. So if there's a gap on that side, I don't stress. There's no reason to stress. That's part of the game. And the reason I'm taking that out a little bit further, because I do not know what's going on there. I might have to trim this back. I'm not sure. I just connected it together to make it work. And that looks like wide enough to me. It's hitting on that point, it's hitting on that point, hitting on that point, it's hitting on that point. It's probably will hit on that point. Like, there's all kinds of places of points where it's going to hit. So do not stress. Do not stress. Gap means penetration. So you see a gap in that cut? Well, good. I done it right. I got penetration point. And you know, or should know, how to fill that gap if I have to. Grab a coat hanger or a piece of welding rod or whatever you prefer. Just making sure everything's staying still. Now, when it comes back here, I know there's nothing back here that's going to affect anything. So I'm going to run a piece here and I'll connect this together. Yes, I will. Actually, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to connect. And this is a game. Like, I can put this together, or you can put this together any way you want to. You can turn that off, sweetheart. You can put this together any way you want to, because it's your floor. Like, you can put it together any way you want to. We know that the dry shaft tube is not going to come up and hit this. And the reason we know the dry shaft tube is not going to come up and hit it, because it's right there. If I'm going to a different style of car and I was going to channel it, well, then that's when this stuff changes in and through the center. Like, you have a tunnel that's going through the center, and it's still basically, I would still basically do the exact same floor process. I probably would make the skeleton of the floor, and then I would cut out the dry shaft area after I made it. So I'd put the cross members across, I'd run all this square stock going through, and then I would cut it, I'd weld my tunnel in, and then I would cut the access out after. What I'm going to do this very second is I'm going to run this across here. Let's see if that's hitting. Because it's going to hold my two end pieces together. I got a different angle on that. I got to cut it off. Nope. I'm going to put this one over here and cut this side off. Makes sense to me. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to, let's hit all right on there. I'm going to mark this one, cut it off. That's going to hold my back together, and it's going to allow me to run this piece up here and connect to this. Why not? That's what I'm thinking. I could run it up and piece it up, but I might as well run that across. It'll hold these two together the right width. It's just a cross member. That's all that is a cross member. I mean, you're not even going to be sitting back here, but it's a cross member for the floor. Now, I use this 3/4 inch square tubing because when you make a cross member in a car, if I cut a cross member out of that car, it might be 18 gauge, maybe. So if I'm using eighth wall square tubing, I should be fine. Besides that, it's pretty hard. It'd be pretty hard to bend it when it's sitting on top of that and sitting on top of that, and then have another cross member adjacent to it, and the metal welded to that. You know, you really have to think about that, basically. You have to think about that. You don't have to if you don't want to, but what I'm trying to tell you is that, you know, me using this square stock, I can't see it, nothing wrong once the metal's welded to it and you got another one beside it, it's laying on top of the chassis. When you make your cross members for your other cars, you go over there and bend them. I can bend them too if I bang them on the floor. What I'm going to do with this piece here is I'm going to half it, and what I mean by half it is I'm just going to halfway up it. That way there, when I add this piece on, I can get this cross member welded on it also. Just the thing I'm going to do for me and you. Right? I'm glad you're with me. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. One you're on. The other side, get that one on, because if I tack it twice, I won't be able to move it. And I do not want to disturb it. Just halving it by eye. Cool. Now we know that outside is not going to move. That outside is outside the chassis. It could probably come on. Hey, it's fine. Now, we can turn that off if you want, sweetheart. If you want. Looking for more square stock. I want to use up all the square stock I got. All the stuff that's cut to a shorter length, if I can. And I think I've got it all used up. Now we're going on to this stuff. I'm going to, oh, sorry. Knock the camera out of your hands. Huh? Alrighty. I got both of them things sitting across there. I might get a measure tape going. Got to move them anyways. That one's on the outside. Alrighty. Just going to get an angle cut here. I'm going to, just cut it off close. How's that? And that way there I can deal with it. We'll get there. We'll deal with it. Don't want to move that too much. I want it to come off, but I didn't want that to come off. I'm going to bring that all the way over like that. Cut two of these. I will. If you're cutting something, always let the end fall off. If you're trying to pick up on it, you'll jam it. You always let your end fall off that you're cutting something. Those discs are doing pretty good. Making sure everything's on the outside. It's on the outside. I'm going to pull that out of there. Gap is for penetration. Beautiful. A young guy named Malcolm gave these to me. I had a pair of clippers here this morning, I thought. Just for shits and giggles, let's do a little coat hanger trick. Just if anybody's never seen before. Got a big gap in there, not worried about that at all. Does not worry me one bit. Penetration, that's called, penetration. Just like that. And I can fill it full if I want to. I don't want anything to move yet, that's all. And we're on to the other side. What am I doing here? I was lost for a second. I was lost, and then I came back. Nice aerial there. My piece. I want to take a little bit off that angle. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Here we go. Alrighty. Looking good so far. It's on the outside. So, yeah, just keep going, I guess. Let's just keep going. We know nothing's going to be here. And the reason we know that is why? Because that cross member's there. Now, if anything's not touching, like if you've seen the rubber that I peeled off on this side. Like I peeled one off there and I peeled the rubber off there. That's what the factory did for wherever the floor was not touching. If you know what I'm trying to say, wherever the floor pan was not touching, they just put a rubber mount in there. And you can do the exact same thing on this floor as the factory did. So if something's not touching, you're not liking it. Like that's where that rubber was, right there. That's where the floor wasn't. That was where the floor wasn't meeting the frame. So you can do the exact same thing if you like. There's another place I can take a boat roller, cut the boat roller to the size I want, and I can put it in there if I want to. So just keep that in mind at all times. Going to make 2 of them. Just going to go ahead of that so it doesn't. We got a bolt there. I'm going to leave it. I'll have to go on top of it. Just go ahead of it a little bit. Just going to go ahead of it a little bit, and then bring it in the hole, bringing it to where it fits. One tack, it's held. 2 tacks, it's there. I'll do the exact same thing on the other side. So we have another connection point where it's sitting on top of the frame. You have the outside piece, then you have that piece sitting on the chassis, you have it sitting on back there, and you have it sitting up there. So you got lots of going for you. Alrighty. So as you can see as I'm going here, can you see a floor pan? That's a floor panel right there. You know what I mean? That little triangle on both sides. There's a floor pan. You make your sheet of metal fit that section, do your bead roll in it, whatever you want to do, then you got a cross member to go with. So now we're just going to cross member here, so we get another floor pan. And we'll just keep working our way back, making place for floor pans. When we go in the middle of this, just trying to make the floor pans look, you know, as tidy as possible. And go there to there. Does not matter. Just grab a piece of metal and start cutting. Basically, does not matter. So we're hitting on the outside. We're hitting on the outside here, so that's not going down through the chassis. Once you weld this square stock cone across here, you're not going down through that. You're not going down through that piece of square tubing. You'd have a hard time bending that short junk with a hammer. Yes, you would. So, just wondering. You can make it shape any way you want to. I got a hole right there. It might be nice to lay it right on top of the hole, then I could drill a hole in this and go right down through. Or it doesn't much matter. I'm just trying to figure out what looks the best for me at the present moment. How about we just do busy right now? Sorry. We're busy right now. Just once. want to check and see if it's somebody we need. I don't know who it is, so we'll just carry on. It's gonna have to apologize and say another time. Another time, eh, sweetheart? I can put that in there. In the center of that. Or I can put it on top of that. And we can put one in here. Let's just do this one here for now. I'm going to undo this. Ouch! Yow! Got my finger, it did. Still on the outside. Cool. It wasn't cool, I banged my finger, but we got her. Do this. Cut this on an angle. Cut that on an angle first, and then we'll cut our piece off. And then we'll make two. Just going to not cheat, but that cross member, there's nothing there, so why not put a piece of metal across there? And like I said, this skeleton can be made in many different ways. Many different ways. I could have run all the cross members across and then put this piece in between each one. I could have done it that way. You can do it any way you want to, but basically you want to make a skeleton of your chassis to put a floor in your car. Like we know that this is going to work because the body does not go down. We're not going down over. We're going to put that in the center of that. Cut that off. Just going to leave that right on there. I wished I would have took the square end, put it around and cut the angle. Now I got to cut it twice, if you know what I'm trying to say. I had the angle cut when I cut that one. I should have squared it off and done it that way, but I didn't. So here we are. Got to make two cuts instead of one. Going too quick. I know when I'm cutting that, I'm cutting the line because when I lay that down on there, the line is longer than the piece I'm using. So if I cut in on the inside of the line, it would be too short. If I cut on the outside of the line, it'd be too long. So I cut the line because the line is what I want to cut off. And the reason being is that's the piece of metal I want. So, I got a little rivet there. Don't want it on that rivet. I want it on the back side, so I'm going to cut that off just a little bit more. You can see I got a rivet there. Did not notice that. I want to set it on top of the chassis if I can. And I can. And I also want to set it on this piece, so I'll just put it on the back side and cut a little more off. Go. Probably should take a little more off, get it straighter. Oh, come on. Nice. So we're on the outside of the frame. We're just above that rivet. One mark, we're good. Or one spot weld, we're good. Bring this out a little bit. Cool. Go to the other side. So there's all kinds of different points of it hitting. And I'm going to take this off. We put it on the back side, we did. Down, it's out over. Need this a little bit cut off this one, same as the other one. That's a good sign. It's a good sign. Knee pads are holding on good. They're cutting me. They're holding on, man. They're not going anywhere, them knee pads. They're holding on. All right. We may as well put a couple more in here for floor pans, and we got the points of where it's hitting, so we might as well put them in the points where it's hitting instead of putting where it's not hitting. You know what I'm trying to say. Alrighty. I can put one in there to put that in, to fill that in, or I can put it up here, I can put it back there. It does not matter. It's all in personal preference. So I'm just going to go with it, I guess. Make my mind up quickly. I still have to bend the back over here. Back has to come up, bend this, and go over top of that and meet there. This will just be this. I'll make this piece here, the square stock around, going over top of that. We'll squeeze it down, and then we'll just run cross members. There's nothing to that. I'm just mimicking this stuff because it's working out. Nothing's going to hit. Dry shaft's way down there. That dry shaft's not going to come way up there and hit that square stock. It's not going to do it. Not going to do it. Unless you're doing something you shouldn't be. Let's just put one. Let's put one in here. Go from this corner to here, and I'm just going to eye that up because I can. And we'll cut two of them. Excuse me, sweetheart. Let that piece fall. If I try to pull up on it, it'll jam. right? If I pull up on it, it'll jam. So we got a point of action here. What I'm going to do, I like it right there. I'm going to put that on right there. And it does not matter how I put that in there. I can put that in there like that. I can put that in there like that. I'm going to put it right on beside that hole because it looks, the distance looks good. It does not matter. I'm going to put it on top of the hole in case I want to drill it and bolt it there. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on the top of the hole because I want to drill it and bolt it. What the hey? What the hey? Right on top of the hole. And it's also, so that panel might look a little like whatever, doesn't matter if it's square or not, it's a floor panel. And we all must admit, you know, you see cars being built and you see the floor pans are all put in and they look really, 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 really nice. And I must agree, they look really, really nice. But when the carpet goes down, does it really matter? You know, in all honesty, does it really matter when the carpet goes down? But what I'm saying is we'll make floor pans, you know, I mean, that's got a triangle there. This one's a little, looks like a hexagon. It's not cut straight. It's not 10 inch, or we'll say 1.5 foot here and 1.5 foot there. No, it's not that. It's probably whatever it's going to be. But in all honesty, you have to ask yourself, does it really matter what the floor pan looks like when the carpet goes down? Does it really matter? And yes, we are going to try to do a real good job. We'll probably bead roll some panels and put some nice panels in this, and we'll try to do a good job. Yes, we will. But in all honesty, we have to realize that in the end, I don't think it matters much what the panels look like. Now we're going to put a couple more. I think that's good enough for a panel. That's fine. Basically, what's going to happen here is I see that this is up where our toes are. This is where the seat's probably going to be. So we'll probably end up adding something here after to apply, to make sure there's a cross member underneath the seat. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call that complete there. I'm going to put a couple across here, but what I'm going to say is that we might have to add something there for a seat. Like, you know, I mean, you'd want a brace underneath your seat or something to bolt your seat to, and that's exactly what I have to do to Jolene's car. I've made all the cross members in it. But now that the seat's in there, I have not been able to get underneath of it to make a cross member for the, or make a brace for the seat. So I'd like to make something in that Bugatti for Jolene so her seat can bolt to it. I would not just want to bolt it to the tin floor. I'd want to put a cross member underneath there, a tab on the square stock or something to make sure the seat stays in place. So I'm going to put a cross member in this. And where do I want to put the cross member? It really doesn't much matter. It does not much matter. I'm going to center it up. I'm going to go from this hole right there, that thing right there, and that thing right there. That's what I'm going to do. What the hey? I can go straight across from the other one, from these two. I can do another one right across there. I can do that. I can also do another one there. So I can have one there and there. I might even do that. Too long. So I'm just going to make a guess poo and then cut it. That's long enough, isn't it, baby?
Yep.
I'm going to make a mark. And then I'm going to cut it, and I'll have to make another mark and cut that end. And then we'll make, no, we only make them one. go there. We'll continue on. Change my mind. You're allowed. That bald knee was taking the sparks. You see that? Huh? Now, stack it in there. We're going to keep it up flush with this because we let it down there, the floor pan isn't going to fit right. Right? Right. Let's make one in here. That would have to come up quite a ways to hit that. That would have to come up quite a ways. I don't think that's going to happen. It's above the frame. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I'm going to tape measure that. I'll cut it off in a second with the angle. Got an angle on this side. I didn't mess it up that time. I got a hole right here, got a hole right there, so I'm going with it. You know what I'm trying to tell you? What I'm trying to tell you is that I'm using what I have. Instead of running back and forth there, getting a tape measure, and making sure that's the same distance, do not care. I do not care. And the reason being is, it does not matter when I make that floor panel and put that in there, if that's 11 and a half, and that's 11 and a quarter, does not matter. I can B-roll it, make it as pretty as I want to, smash it, make it look fantastic. Once the carpet's down, it's over. Beautiful. You are, Jolene. Beautiful you are. She's beautiful, boys. She's beautiful. Yes, you are, sweetheart. Yes, you are. I love my baby. I love my baby. Just going to bring that up flush. I'm going to tie this together, and I think I'm going to tie it together back here. That jaw shaft's not going to come up there far and hit that. I'm going to tie it together right there. And then I'm going to call that skeleton part of the floor, you know, looking pretty good. I'm going to tie it together here though. When it comes to this point up here, the motor's here, transmission here. We're going to have to wait and see where that transmission lies, whether we're going to connect it up in here further. Also, I'm thinking that this is where the tunnel will set on top of this. Basically, that's what's going on. The transmission comes in here. Your floor pan, floor pan, floor pan, floor pan, all the way back. Transmission, transmission tunnel. On top of this, onto the firewall. I'm going to put one right here because we can. I'm going to put it ahead of the weld mark so I can weld that. Don't want to go above, don't want to put that on there now. I could not weld that all together in there. So I'm going to put it above it, before it, so I can weld it all together and do a fantastic job. Got a little bit of a gap going on. What's gap do? Penetration. Don't worry about that stuff. Love it. Alrighty. What time is it?
1:17.
What's that?
1:17.
Alrighty. We'll call it good for there, just because we have to have, Jolene has to have time to load it, and I think you get the point. Basically what's going on here is I got a skeleton of the floor. I put a few extra pieces in. Obviously this is where the seat goes. We want to brace across there. We're going to have to maybe brace it again because we don't know exactly where it's going. But this is what we know for sure. When we tried the car on the chassis with the floor it had, it did not fit. When I put this and weld this to the underneath of the car where the floor was, we know it's going to fit because I've made a skeleton of what the chassis is. So I can continue on. What should I do? Should I continue on tomorrow and do the back part, or explain, or do the side panels and show that? Basically, I'm going to explain what I'm doing right now. Basically, what has to happen is I have to bend a piece of square stock that goes up over top of this and has this shape. And you do not have to bend it to that shape. You do not have to bend it. All you have to do is have points of pressure where it hits. So I could put a straight piece from there up to there. It hits there and hits there. You're not going to bend that when I put a piece of straight metal on the side of it. And then I can have a piece of metal go from there down to there. But I'm probably going to try to, I don't know if I will or not. It doesn't really much matter. Like, it really doesn't much matter. So, as I explain this, you can bend your piece of square stock to go up there if you want to on that shape. Or I can bend and put a straight piece in there if I wanted to. Like, I can do this. I can put a piece in there on the outside of the chassis. I can cut that off there, and then weld a piece from there down to there, put cross members across. Finny. I can do that. Maybe I should. Anyways, it is what it is. I'm explaining it. So I can cut it off here, and then run a piece down there, make sure it's on the outside of the chassis, like 1/8 or better. So and then I run a square piece across from here to there, ladder it across, all the way across. Then we have the skeleton of our chassis. When that is done, you'll have to see tomorrow. That's what's going to happen. After that, you'll have to see what's done tomorrow. Also, before we go, we are going to be at the Toronto Motorama. Taking off tomorrow. Kind of really excited actually to go, meet some fans, meet some people in their cars, talk about projects and all that sort of stuff. I'm hoping that what I'm doing here, anybody could look at a car in a junkyard and say, I can make the floor. Once I'm done, you see what's going on here. It does not have to be done exactly like that. But basically, that is the floor skeleton of your car that fits that chassis. Let's show them the steering wheel. I covered it up because I didn't want to get it dirty. But I did black out the handles of it. And I got the back of it blacked out. I'm really happy with the steering wheel. Jolene said it could have been all white, and it could have been, but there was 3 colors there. It was barking at me really loudly to paint it 3 different colors. And I want to explain something. As I did that, Jim come to my mind. You're not going to use all that tape to tape that up, are you? Well, I did not. I took a piece of tape and I wrapped it around here, wrapped a piece of tape around there, wrapped a piece of tape around there. I grabbed Jolene's plastic wrap and I just ripped the piece off and I went choo, 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 all the way around it. Put a little piece of tape so it wouldn't come off. Worked out perfect. I painted this black, ripped the plastic off and the piece of tape, and I put it back together. That is a steering wheel out of a junkyard, and that right there, I can look at that, like this is the kind of person I am, I can look at that for, actually I can look at it for hours and be very happy just looking at the steering wheel. It's funny what can satisfy a person. And if you're not into this stuff, you really don't know until you try. And when you try and you make something and that you're proud of it, I'm very proud of that steering wheel because I picked it out of a junkyard. I cut the top of it off. I used my brain and got some windshield wiper delete thing, shoved it on the end of it, JB welded it on there. I used my brain and figured out how to apply the steering wheel to an I Did It steering column. I used a bullet from, I'm not sure, I think Night Prowlers I bought them bullets from. And also the coloring that I colored it with, you know, to get it to where it's at. I probably spent many hours thinking or doing that, which took my time, which, you know what they say, idle hands is the devil's broth. Well, there wasn't much devil's broth when it come time to figuring out how I wanted a steering wheel in this car. But it makes me happy to take nothing and make something. I could have looked in a book. Oh, I like that. Pull up my checkbook, and that's not me. I'd rather make something than buy something. To buy the bullet, yes, but I'm making something with it. To spend $500 on a steering wheel when I paid $20 for it at a junkyard, very happy. We sold an engine here the other day, and this is a fine example. We sold the flathead engine of this because I was not going to use it. I decided that I wanted a bigger engine in the car. And, you know, some people got up and say, oh, you should have given it away, you should have done this. You know what? In all honesty, if I'm not only showing how I'm doing this, for me to buy a car and junk it, for the young people that are doing this sort of stuff and you want something in life, make sure you are buying stuff that you can get your money back. You know, to buy things that you're not getting your money back, that's not worth the value, to go to town and buy like a new piece of furniture, great. But if you went to town and went to the antique store and bought an antique couch or an antique dresser or an antique this or an antique that, you know, these are for the young people, you know that you can resell it to somebody else. I would never go to town and buy a bunch of brand new furniture and furnish my house. And the reason being is because once it's over, it's done. It goes to the garbage. I generally like to buy things. I buy things that I think that I can get my money back, or some of it. I'm only going through this life once, and for me to give everything away would be foolish. You know, make sure when you're buying things that are not. Do the best you can at making sure that you're buying things worth the value. Do a little bit of investigation, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I knew that the engine was worth what it was, and that's basically why I bought the car, because I knew the car was pretty well junk, but I had my money was there. When it come time to rip the car off and I found that the chassis was that nice, that was the bonus right there. And that's the way generally you should do life. Also, with the engine that we sold, we give him another engine for spare parts, and we give him some spare parts to go with it. I think that was mighty white of us, basically is what I'm trying to say. And do not be foolish with your money. You know what they say? A fool and their money soon part. And I ain't no fool.